Okay. Can people hear me now? Give me a sign so that I know if I'm heard or not. Because otherwise, it would be very difficult to do a live session with you having to try to read my lips. Okay, so we have an okay. Brilliant. Awesome. All right. Welcome everyone to this live session. I apologize for the audio issue. I don't have a microphone today, so I'm using the laptops. And today we'll focus on gender. Now, gender is a very basic concept, very easy concept, central to Italian. Italian is a gendered language. But last session that we had, someone asked a very simple, banal question that made me think about gender and how confusing it can be in certain scenarios. We were, for the people that don't remember or the people that didn't attend that session, we were just talking about some Italian words, and the question was, oh, I thought that in Italian one word either has a gender or another one. Like, you can't choose which gender to assign to a given word. And it seemed to me a stupid question. It seemed to be a very easy question to answer. Like, okay, well, but it wasn't. Actually, I thought about it, and it's a very interesting question. So today we're going to look at gender and how it can be confusing sometimes, and how we can do to solve the issues that we face. If you have any question, feel free to post it in the live chat, or if you're watching this video as a recording, post it in the comments. Of course, if it's in the live chat, I can address it straight away. If it's noun and gender related, that's even better. All right, so let me give you a taste for what it is that I would like to talk about, what I would like to discuss. And then, by the way, at the end of this session, which I hope is not going to last for longer than 20 minutes, half an hour. I know that I always say this, but it always end up being longer than that. We'll have my trusted partner Amedeo to repeat and pronounce some of the words that we're going to be looking at in this session. So let's start by looking at hello, hello, Hello? Okay. I think the audio is fixed. Hello, hello, hello. All right, what is the last thing that you guys could hear? I'd be curious to know. What I basically asked is for you to tell me what these words mean so that we can start the session. We're going to take a look at a few phrases, a few sentences with these words. So we need to know what they mean. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, good. It's good that you guys can hear me. I don't know what's happening with the audio, honestly. It's very strange. So we have three words, specifically the words at the top. Yeah. Gatto, orso, and lupa. Actually, lupo. I'm not sure why that's changed. I'll be monitoring the audio every now and then just to make sure that we are. Oh, okay, yeah, nothing after you change the screen, yeah. So really we are trying to study the difficulties, intricacies of gender when it comes to certain types of words. And we're looking at the collection of words to do with the animal kingdom in this case. All right, so we have some answers. Cat, bear, and wolf. Correct, exactly. So this is the meaning of the words that we're looking at. We are, and this is interesting. So when it comes to animals, and we don't often talk about animals, but it's a very common source of confusion. When it comes to animals, surely an animal is just like any other Italian word. For example, la luna. This word means moon, and it's a feminine word. Now, il luno does not exist. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense because luna is a feminine word, and that's it. This is the whole point of having gender. Either it's one or the other. So the moon so happens to be feminine. Il luno doesn't exist, right? So this is a very black and white issue where we can easily find one version that's wrong and one version that's right. Now we look at the word cat, gatto. It means cat. What about gatta? Now, in this case, the word does make sense. So I can say la gatta, or indeed una gatta, a female cat. The word just has gender information within it. It's the same as saying il bambino or la bambina. Right? Il ragazzo and la ragazza. Za. Okay, so there are cases, specifically when it comes to people and animals, that allow us to change gender and go from male to female and back female to male, depending on who we are describing or what we are describing. However, there is a limit to this. This tends to be possible only with words that have a particular relationship with humans. So words like cat, bear, wolf, these are very common animals or common names for animals. We've been dealing as a species, I think we've been dealing with these animals for a very long time. So in the language, we allow for this change when we want to describe a male bear or a female bear. So indeed we can say orsa, un'orsa con I suoi piccoli, for example. Un'orsa con I suoi piccoli. La gatta con gli stivali. La lupa e il lupo. Okay, so these are all sentences that make sense. These are all sentences that make sense, and these are correct. We're using gender. What if? So are we clear so far? Because now I'm going to present to you with the problem. So far there is no problem. I'm going to present to you with the problem, and that's the problem that made, I think, a lot of people confused and made the Italian Mastery member last time ask that question. I don't think there's any questions, so I'm going to move forward. All right, no questions. Here's the problem. What about this word? So can someone please translate these words for me? Do you guys know what the translation is? It's not important if you don't know. This is not a vocabulary session, so we're not focused on learning the vocabulary. But just for you to have an idea of what we're talking about and make this interactive, as well as remembering that these nouns are all very common. These are not animals that are rare. They sort of, usually kids know about these animals and these animal names. So these are good nouns, good words to learn. Camel. It's camel, yeah, hippo and giraffe. Exactly. That's great. So camel, hippo and giraffe. Now this is where it gets interesting. These animals, they are not part of the very small, very limited amount of animals that we can gender. So for example, a cat. These animals have a name, just like the moon, the chair. These words have names. These things have names in Italian, and the gender is fixed. So it is true that the gender is fixed for 99% of the words. And sometimes, because we are dealing with very common words like cat, bear, wolf, child, person, we think that we can, or someone might think that we can then use the ending, change the ending, change the gender for all sorts of things. Not true. So for example, camel, cammello, un cammello. It would be very weird to say una cammella in the feminine form. You could say un cammello femmina. The same for ippopotamo. Ippopotamo is a word. There is no such thing as ippopotama. Sounds quite funny actually. Ippopotama. That's not right. Ippopotamo femmina. So we specify whether it's male or female, because the word by itself cannot specify. Giraffa. Giraffo, would make people just laugh. It's fun, and people might even understand what you mean, but I would recommend not using this. Instead, giraffa femmina or giraffa maschio. Okay, so we can use male and female as in the case of the animals if we need to specify. That's just because animals have gender. If we talked about anything else, like sedia, tavolo, right? Words like chair and table, same thing. We cannot change the gender, right? Sedio does not exist. Tavola does exist, but it's a completely different subject, so I don't want to get into that. The idea that I'm trying to paint here is that words have gender, and the gender is not up to debate. We cannot just change it because the chair looks a bit feminine or it looks masculine or whatever that means. Gender does not change. However, with personable objects, with people, with animals, then we can sometimes, for certain words that I suggest you learn just by hearing them first, then you can. Just like in the case of ragazzo, ragazza. Saying ragazzo femmina would be very strange, right? Because we have the ability to gender that word. I would say that in the case of animals, if that becomes a contentious issue or a point of tension for you, something that you're not comfortable with, I would suggest always sticking with specifying un cane maschio, cane femmina. Of course, there is a word for it. There might be, but in the case there isn't, you make yourself, you speak precisely, and you avoid mistakes. And I think, and by the way, that's the natural way to speak in Italian, unless the animal is a specific animal, and probably you will learn those animals off by heart over time, right? And now, if we don't have any questions, I would like to introduce a third minor thing that also comes into this conversation of gender. Let me know if you have any questions. Unfortunately, today I forgot my tea, which means I'm not as happy, but is it clear? Is there any issue now? Because I think this might be confusing for certain people. Some other people might think it's just a waste of time, that it's absolutely crystal clear. So let me know, because gender is everywhere in Italian. It's not something that we can afford not understanding. Rooster, bull, dog. Right, so Mladen, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, but I think you are perfectly correct. Yes. So this is the translation in English for the words that we see on the screen right now. Gallo, toro, cane. Il gallo, il toro. And what about the gender of this one? Cane. This is irregular because the ending is not in O or A as you would expect. Exactly. Il cane. Il cane because cane is masculine. Now, these are specific animals that, just like in English, sometimes have a completely different word for the feminine version. So this is another case where we do have gendered language. Sometimes we have gendered language even in other languages like English, right? So il gallo, the female rooster would be a hen, right? So we're going to go from il gallo to la gallina, okay? So in this case, the animals that we're dealing with are so, I think it's because they have such a tremendous importance for farmers and people that they have different words for the different genders. Il toro, what would be the feminine of, what would be a cow in English? Well, I guess cow. What would be a cow in Italian? So we have the bull, rooster, the hen. Now we need the cow. Google Translate is forbidden. No, I'm joking. I think it doesn't matter. As long as we try to remember first, and then if we don't know, then it makes sense to look it up. Exactly. Mark is correct. La mucca. So as you can see, here we have completely different words. And cane, much less common. La cagna si dice. So we can put that there. So as you can see, we have situations in which the word is completely different. We have situations in which the word is different in the sense that we just changed the ending. Orso, orsa, lupa, lupo. And then we have situations which is the majority of words in Italian where the gender is one. And that's it. So, cammello, ippopotamo, giraffa. But of course, there are many words that would, in fact, the majority of words in Italian have a gender. That's it. Because the words in the case of describing animals might have a gender or another, then you go maschio, femmina to specify if you have to. So that's really it. This is the picture that I wanted to paint because I think gender is such an easy thing, but sometimes it can become tricky. And I want the easy things to be crystal clear in people's minds so that we can build on top of it with more complex, complicated notions and rules, etc. And of course, what is the diagram for words in Italian in general? So in other words, singular, let's remove this, singolare, so we have singolare, plurale, maschile, femminile. Okay, so and I think we can call it quits after this for this session. If you guys don't have any questions, what are the standard endings in Italian for the words that are singular and masculine? Like for example, lupo. Actually, let's go with something else. Let's go with table, chair. So how would you say table and tables, knowing that table is masculine, and chair and chairs, knowing that chair is feminine? This is an easy question, but this is absolutely mandatory to learn, right? The 4 endings of masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, feminine plural. Okay, so Mladen says tavolo, tavoli. Exactly. Tavoli, sedia. Yes, sedia, sedie. Absolutely. That's correct. Okay. Again, super easy stuff, but I just wanted to make sure that we have this covered. So tavolo, tavoli, sedia, sedie. So for example, non sederti sul tavolo, prendi una delle sedie e siediti lì. Okay. And now I'm going to call Amedeo to see if he wants to come and read some of the sentences with me. And if you have any last minute questions, feel free to just ask in the chat. Vieni. Here's Amedeo.
Ciao a tutti.
Allora, adesso ti faccio vedere la frase che ho scritto, così la puoi pronunciare tu e basta. Ok. Prova a leggerla magari normalmente e poi leggerla una seconda volta invece lentamente.
Ok. Non sederti sul tavolo, prendi una delle sedie e siediti lì. Non sederti sul tavolo, prendi una delle sedie e siediti lì.
Awesome. Per far vedere la pronuncia delle vocali soprattutto. It's very useful, I think, especially for the pronunciation of the vowels, the idea of pronouncing them in a vacuum as opposed to pronouncing them as diphthongs like you would in other languages. So I think we have come to the end of this session. I thank everyone for participating, and we are going to have one more session every week, every Sunday at 2 p.m. If you guys have any questions in Italian, let us know, and we're going to do our best to help you with it. If you have any last minute questions, ask them now, otherwise I'm going to end the stream. Non so se hai dei commenti da fare sul maschile, il femminile.
Nulla di particolare. Naturalmente si tratta di un elemento fondamentale della grammatica.
Sì, esatto, non si può non capirlo. Divertiti la settimana avanti, ci vediamo settimana prossima. Perfetto, ci vediamo la settimana prossima, Mark. Just to saluto dalla... Oh, ok, from Croatia, dalla Croazia. La Croazia si scrive con la Z, no?
Sì, in italiano.
In
Sì.
italiano. Un saluto anche a te, Mladen, spero di pronunciare il tuo nome bene.
Però quello è un elemento latino, il fatto che la T sostituisca la Z. Infatti il croato è una lingua neolatina.
Ah, ecco. La settimana avanti, la settimana prossima ci vediamo. Ci vediamo la settimana prossima. Brilliant. All right. Thank you everyone and I'll see you in the next session. A presto.
Bye.